morning. You're listening to Central Wisconsin's 24-hour information station, AM 1320 WFHR. It's time now for the Morning Magazine, brought to you by Comfort Air Heating, Cooling, Plumbing. Now, with the Morning Magazine, here's Carl Hilke.
Thank you, Jerry, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's show on AM 1320 and streaming live at WFHR.com. We also welcome our friends from RCCA Media. My buddy Jesse is here, digitally recording this for broadcast on your cable channel, your public access channel, whether you're a Solaris or a charter member, or you can go to their website and view it online 24/7 at rccamedia.org. Before we get started, I want to give my thank you to Bob Look for sitting in for me yesterday on yesterday's show, and the Heart of Wisconsin Chamber of Commerce and the Bullseye Country Club for a lovely day of golf at the annual Summer Hummer. It was deeply appreciated to all involved. But today, it's our monthly visit with the city of Wisconsin Rapids. Mayor Verwink is not here today because he is meeting right now with Wisconsin U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin. And I will be talking with Senator Baldwin and recording an interview later this afternoon. But in his stead is Joe Terry, the Director of Public Works. And we also have the Mayor's Youth Council, Ryan and Jorian, who are here, and Cody Wetterow, who is the School Resource Officer with the Wisconsin Rapids PD. And in the first half hour here, we're going to be talking about aquatics, and we're going to not to do phone calls during that segment because we got a lot to cover. In the second half hour, we're going to get into recycling with Joe and answer a lot of the questions that you may have about that letter you received and everything else. And we'll open up the phone lines for any discussion with Joe. But first off, we say, good morning, Joe. Thank you for filling in for the mayor.
Well, good morning, Carl. It's nice to be here.
Okay. So, why don't we begin with the whole... Let me get this microphone a little closer to you. Let's begin with the whole aquatics issue. And that was, we understand the pool had a failing. It went... And because of that, it was shut down.
That's correct.
No.
So a little bit of history, I guess.
Yeah.
So one of the issues that the city faced, the Mead Pool was approaching the end of its service life. But because of some specific problems, some specific structural problems, the city is unable to relicense that pool without a significant amount of rehabilitation work, costing hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so the city council reviewed the situation and took a look at those costs. And quite frankly, for the several $100,000 it would cost just to prolong it a year or two, really didn't provide the value that the city council was looking for.
What was the nature of the problem?
So the deep end of the pool, the dive well, had lifted up. There was high water one spring, and during the cleaning operations, when the pool is emptied and cleaned, the groundwater was so high the pool kind of acted like a boat, and the deep end actually became displaced and lifted up about 3 or 4 inches. The result of that was some problems with the internal plumbing of the pool, but primarily the function of the pumps. One of the requirements of operating a pool is that the water needs to recirculate consistently throughout the entire pool, and in order to do that, the water has to flow over the gutters. On the deep end of the pool, because that was 3 inches higher than the rest of the pool, that water couldn't flow out, and so those recirculation problems end up being a code violation and a health and safety risk.
Okay, so, and then the question that people go, well, why not just fix that? I guess you answered that. It would have taken several hundreds of thousands of dollars
to make an initial repair, but really the entire facility is at the end of its service life. The pumps, the pool structure itself, really everything needs to be replaced, and making a small, I'm going to call that a small fix for a couple $100,000 just really wasn't a good way to prolong the life of that facility just for a few years. So the city was looking at options then, out of necessity. And at the same time, the YMCA has approached the city that they're building a significant new facility here in Wisconsin Rapids. and approach the city about a potential partnership. And so from there, staff has been tasked with identifying a number of options and bring those options to the table for the council to try to pick and choose and select a direction. So part of getting information is, was a survey through the Mayor's Youth Council, and also a community. It wasn't really a survey; it was a community research project. And so that kind of gets us to where we are today.
Okay. And Cody, what's been your role in this whole process as a school resource officer in your relationship with the teen council?
Well, this is my first year in the school district as a school resource officer, and Mayor Verwink asked me to participate as an advisor on the council. So I sat down with the kids a couple times now, and they put together a survey. They surveyed about 515 youth from our area to get their ideas of what they'd like to see from a future aquatic facility.
Okay, let's hear from our youth. What would you like to, what did your peers say in your survey of them of what they would like to see in a future facility?
Well, our first question on the survey was, how, overall, getting a pool, do you think it's an excellent idea? That was answered out of, the 515 people. That had an overwhelming 287 people said that was a good, an excellent idea, which was, the highest rating you could give it. So, obviously, people that are, freshmen to 12th graders feel that it's a very good idea that we get a new pool.
Okay. What kind of a facility? Did you ask them what kind of facility? A year-round facility? A seasonal facility?
Yeah, we had questions that discussed where they thought would be a good idea to place the pool, what types of features they would want, if they want concession stands or slides, or a competitive swimming pool. A lot of responses were that we wanted slides or a wave pool or diving boards. And Mayor Verwink, last time we were here, had just gotten designs that they had just put in, some ideas that how we could set up pools and stuff, which we haven't seen, but will probably be shown at a public forum or something.
Okay. Did your group ask your fellow students where this facility should be located so kids can easily access it? That's been one issue of concern with adults, that this needs to be a place that's very accessible to a wide majority of people.
Yes, we did ask them. We gave them the options of the current Mead Pool location or Whitterfield, and then we also put in another bracket where they could suggest other places where they think the pool could go. And the overwhelming amount of students said that they believe the Whitterfield location would be the best because it's an easily accessible area and you can get to it from anywhere in the city.
Okay, so Joe, what do you take from, or what does the city take from what the youth is telling them, of course? And then that leads into, wave pools are nice and this is going to cost money.
That's right.
And how are we going to raise funds to make this happen?
So the council is now challenged with selecting a direction. The city can participate with the YMCA and help construct a year-round indoor facility. It can construct an outdoor facility, a small, modest outdoor facility, and still participate with the YMCA. And it can do a standalone outdoor facility. And so staff has been tasked with discovering options. The city has contracted with an outside consultant to help demonstrate some scope, come up with some basic ideas, not specifically too detailed. We're not in the design phase at this point, but some concepts so that the council and members of the community can take a look at that and help guide the process forward. What path to take when we're considering a partnership option. There are a number of benefits for that. There's also a number of benefits for a standalone option, and so trying to present information, in a way that allows the community to make a choice was our goal, and we're to that point where we're ready to make that presentation.
Would the Y option be the one that would become more of a regional type of a thing? And what some have brought up why not get other communities to buy in on this, because their kids are going to want to come to this facility because it's going to be the only one in this area.
Right, and so that was part of the research, and the different sizes of outdoor facilities that we looked at to potentially partner with the Y or a standalone include what people would call a neighborhood pool. It's that would be size similar to what the Mead pool is.
Right.
Something a little larger, which is referred to as a city pool, and it would serve essentially the city of Wisconsin Rapids, and then something even larger yet, which would be a regional option. The number of aquatics options for people in the Wisconsin Rapids and surrounding area is pretty limited, and so through our study we found that a regional facility is certainly capable of being operated here and wouldn't be overkill. So the community has a wide variety of options to choose from. Because of results from the Youth Council, the Mayor's Youth Council, the different locations that we looked at included then Whitterfield and the Mead location. And we've got some general layouts to show how those facilities may fit in either location. So we're trying to be able to present a broad spectrum of options.
When do you anticipate doing this presentation to the council? When would they be?
So we're actually scheduling something because we do anticipate that there is a lot of community interest in aquatics.
Yeah.
We've scheduled a standalone presentation for July 26th at 6 p.m. at the McMillan Library. And at that presentation, there will be a presentation by the YMCA to talk about that facility and the benefits of partnership. There will be, I believe you folks are going to be making your presentation as well.
Yeah, a couple of people from the Mayor's Youth Council will be there to kind of help support the cause.
Right, and then the consultant that the city hired, Burbach, will be there to provide an overview of the various outdoor options. The outdoor options that will be presented were specifically scoped so that if they were to be standalone, they wouldn't be in conflict of a YMCA facility, and that the focus for any outdoor portion, whether it's a small neighborhood or a larger regional facility, would be on the recreation side of things, and a partnership with the Y would be focusing on health and wellness. Okay. As far as some recreation as well. So
the Y is still in the development of their plans, or have they just made a decision on where they're going to be building their new facility? Or yeah.
No, not exactly, and their plans will depend on
if they're going to be partnering.
What direction the city goes, which is why the timing on this is important, and it's important to make the presentation, get community input, and choose a path.
Did the youth that you surveyed, did you ask them if they would like to be part of a new Y or this regional concept, or you just looked at the facility as it's on its own?
In general, we pretty much just looked at, like, in general, would you like an aquatics facility, be it indoor or outdoor? We didn't necessarily tell them, like, do you think it would be a good idea to partner with the YMCA? Because I don't know if they would fully understand, like, what that entailed. But I'm sure they probably wouldn't be opposed to it. Based on our survey results, they just want an aquatic center. They would just want a pool.
Okay.
But
Cody, from as the school resource officer, how important this process, getting kids involved, is also going to be a good aspect in trying to make sure it's a safe facility, that it's a facility that people respect Am I correct?
Yes, you're very correct, and I think it's awesome that we have youth stepping up to make their voice heard on a topic like this. We've been in need for a new pool for years in Rapids, and they're finally coming together as a group and being vocal about what they'd like to see for the future of our community.
Okay, so I guess what if you're passionate, if this has been an issue that you're passionate about, the next step is to show up at that meeting July 26th.
Right, and that's going to be an informational meeting. At this point, there's not an intention for there to be a lot of question and answer.
It's more, here's what we've come.
It's really to get kind of the various options out there, and then ask that the public, contact their elected officials, the mayor's office, staff as it's appropriate to voice their, their position.
Will there ever be a public hearing on this, or?
Well, certainly. There would need to be discussion at a council meeting.
Right.
When the council takes a direction, that'll be an agenda item, and there'll likely be some discussion. I don't know at this point if there's going to be, a public hearing per se. Certainly, the public information meeting is a big step, and by doing it at the library, we're hoping that we get a good turnout.
Okay. What committee of the council would this come under when it gets referred to council?
Well, I'm sure the Parks Commission will have some input, but it'll primarily be directly to the City Council.
Okay. So when would the mayor or the administration like to see some action?
I'd like to try to see some action in August. Construction and partnership of any facility, whether it's YMCA or city or both, it's going to take quite a bit of time for the design process and construction. So, it's a 1.5 to 2 year process, and the longer we wait, the longer we go without a aquatic facility in the community. And from a quality of life standpoint and something for the family to do, it's very important. And
from law enforcement, I would think that's a concern, not having, because the calls I've gotten, what are kids to do? Or, if they don't have a facility like this, they get in trouble.
There's a lot more opportunity to make bad choices if they're not being congregated in a common area, and it's great to have a public facility like this where they can have something positive to do.
Okay. So, there's a whole lot of different aspects of this whole thing. But again, just to go back over, when people say, well, why don't they just fix up the mead pool? If you were fixed up, you're going to fix it up for several $100,000, and that could be money going toward a new pool, and you're only going to fix it for like a year or two.
Right. And it was, even then we didn't have any guarantees that the state would have renewed our license.
Okay, yeah.
It was in dire.
The state could still say, no, it doesn't meet standard, it doesn't meet code. So it was, what is going to happen with that facility?
Well, it really depends on the direction that the city takes. There may be some opportunities to remove that pool, reutilize the bathhouse, repurpose it. It could be removed entirely. There's some discussion that no matter what happens, if that location isn't chosen as a final location for a new pool, that there may be an opportunity to construct a splash pad or some other feature in that location. There's also some consideration to update that entire park facility, to change the direction of the ball diamonds so that they're centered on themselves, so that one concession stand could serve the entire facility. So really that park is being looked at long-term for really long-term improvement.
Yeah, well, it's been, there's been stuff that's been there since I was a kid.
Right.
Yeah, and it's always been that way, and so and things have changed.
Right.
Yeah. So okay. What message is the youth sending to us adults about this, do you think? Come on.
Well, one thing that kind of stuck with me is that, at our last Mayor's Youth Council meeting, Mayor Verwink said that this has been a long-term problem. When he was in high school, so when he was our age, they told people like, we want a pool. And so now we're like in dire need because it's gone on for so long, and like the pool shut down. Like we don't have one now, and now we like have to build one. So like this has been going on forever. Like kids our age want a pool, and so now we're finally, okay, let's choose a path to do something about it. And so I think it's important that they see that it's not just us, like generations before us have said that we need a pool, and so like it would be a good idea and in our best interest as a city to build something that we're gonna like for a while.
You think young people would help out with fundraising?
Probably.
Hey, I'm looking at all options, Joe.
Sure, and funding is obviously a huge discussion point for any project like this. Something extremely modest is still going to be $3 to $4 million.
Yeah, that's what people get blown away with. They don't realize to meet code is very expensive,
and it's not cheap to operate. A regional facility, has a price tag of around $8 million, and that's something that the city's in a position, a very good financial position on its ability to borrow, but that's also comes paying those loans back come at a cost to the taxpayers, obviously. So any project that moves forward, there will be a strong effort towards partnering in financing, trying to work with perhaps some of the foundations, but as well as business and industry. When you're looking at trying to recruit staff, if it's high level staff that has, you're trying to bring
new executives
with specialized skills. Quality of life is very important, and having those particular facilities in the area, it really helps improve the image of the area and gives people things to do. So it is a benefit. Sometimes it is intangible, but significant benefit to the entire community. And the scope of these types of facilities nowadays aren't what they were 50 years ago. It's not a tank in the ground anymore. It's a facility where you don't go to visit for maybe an hour or two. You really go for the day. There would be concession stands and and some outdoor shelters to provide some shade, family-friendly, zero-depth entry, and additional things to do so that when you go to the pool, you're going for the day. And
it's like going to the beach. We're going to spend the day at the pool.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's exciting, I think, for everybody, whether it's young, old, business owners, the whole community, I think, can be interested in this project.
I think that is what it's going to take to make it happen. It's going to be everybody, business, service clubs, what have you, anybody that has an interest in this to step forward and go, how can we get this, the money for it, and how can we make it sustainable long term? You're going to have some kind of an income stream. Obviously, concession stuff, maybe a charge.
Yes.
And
those types of things have been discussed both with YMCA partnership concept as well as a mix or standalone.
Okay. Well, a very interesting discussion. I want to thank the members of the Mayor's Youth Council, Ryan and Jorian, for being here, and Cody Wetterow, the school resource officer. I'll let you kids have one final word. What do you want to tell the community about the importance of this?
We are taking every chance we can to take a step further in the pool process, and I think we will definitely make our way there.
Okay. Well, we thank you for being a part of the show, Cody. Nice meeting you. And good luck. Good luck working with the kids. School's right around the corner. And good luck. Well, I'm sure we'll be talking about this quite a bit down the road. But I thank you for the information and the background. Joe, you're going to stick around because next we're going to be talking about recycling.
You bet.
Okay. And you're listening to the Morning Magazine on AM 1320 and WFHR.com. We also welcome our friends from RCCA Media.
Good morning and welcome back to The Morning Magazine, presented by Comfort Air Heating, Cooling, Plumbing. It's time for part 2. Once again, here's Carl Hilke.
Thanks again, everybody, and welcome back to today's show on AM 1320 and WFHR.com. We also welcome our friends at RCCA Media. Jesse's still here because this is normally when we would have Mayor Verwink in the studio, but Mayor Verwink is meeting with Senator Tammy Baldwin today as she is here, and then she's heading up to Wausau for a roundtable on the drug problem in central Wisconsin. And prior to that, she's going to be stopping by our studios to record an interview, and you'll be hearing news stories about that, and I'm going to be putting that together for a special community spotlight during a future noon report. So Joe Terry, the Director of Public Works, is here, and we're going to get into something. I'm a city resident, we all got that letter in the mail about the new recycling bins. And I can't wait to get a new one because the one I have is from the original, and that thing has been beaten up to you know what. So obviously that's part of the effort to get the public to understand what's happening. So why don't you give some background, and we'll throw open the phone lines at 715-424-2600. If you have a question about recycling for Joe, hopefully we can answer your concerns. So let's do an overview to begin with.
Sure. And before I start that, I'd like to just make an announcement and a special thank you to Jim Borski.
Okay.
Our Public Works Superintendent over at the garage is retiring next week.
Oh, hey, Jim. Congratulations, man.
After 32 years of service to the community, and he's just really been a great servant and a great leader, and he's certainly going to be missed, and I just want to wish him the best, and if you see him out on the street, wish him the best in his retirement.
Yeah, I will too, because we've had him on here on the show. I know sometimes during the winter time to explain how the snow plowing is done. Sure. But no, hey, enjoy your retirement, buddy. That's great. Okay.
So, a little background on the recycling program. In Wisconsin, obviously, we're required. Municipalities are required to recycle, and the municipalities get to choose how that works. Here in Wisconsin Rapids, we're doing curbside pickup. Some communities have drop sites where they can drop. The curbside pickup is by far the most favored service by residents for ways to collect recycling, and it's efficient and collects a lot of materials. And so over the last, 20-some years, we've had the blue bins. They've worked well. There are methods, though, that communities have been implementing over the last decade or so that really improve efficiency. They improve the level of service, and they improve the quantity of materials collected. And that's called automated single-stream recycling. And what that means is that single stream means that you don't have to separate your recyclables from each other. Your paper can be mixed with your plastic bottles, and everything goes into one container. It gets shipped to a facility where there's a mechanical system as well as some labor to segregate those, and then they go off to market for resale. One of the benefits of that is that it's just easier to recycle. By not having to segregate your materials, you only need one container instead of multiple. So that's a benefit. The other big improvement over the last number of years that the city will be implementing with this program is the automated part. And what that is there's an arm on the side of the truck that hydraulically reaches out and grabs the container and dumps it into the truck. Some of the benefits for that are, especially in the wintertime, just worker safety. There's 6,500 stops to make in the city, and that's in a 2-week period. And so the drivers are getting in and out of that vehicle an awful lot, and slip and falls are a real risk for work comp and injuries, and we don't want our staff getting hurt. And from a convenience standpoint, the rolling carts in the communities that are using that program, the rolling carts are just a huge improvement over the bins. They're easy to move around. They're bigger, and so in many cases, you don't have to collapse your boxes as much, maybe, or flatten some of the plastic materials. You just throw it in the bin and roll it out. So there's some real benefits there. And the other benefit is just overall cleanliness. When we're collecting recyclables right now, if it's a windy day, a lot of times those things are blowing, the materials are blowing out of the bins. When we're putting them in the trucks, sometimes the wind's blowing it away. And, when the trucks are driving down the street, there's opportunities for recyclables to blow around. And it's unsightly, and that's not one of our service objectives. So the automated trucks, those carts have a lid on them. The lid opens when the cart's tipped and when it's into the truck. So there's very little probability of materials blowing around in the breeze. So there's a number of benefits for the program. And so like many other municipalities, the city is going to this process.
I was telling you before the show, the wife and I met another couple for a day of fun out in the Chain of Lakes area in Wapaka, and coming home on Sunday, late afternoon, early evening, in the Plover area, noticed people were rolling out the recycling bins. Must have been, we were driving on B, heading into Plover, and it must have been pickup day probably was tomorrow. And I noticed some older folks and younger folks. They didn't look like they were having any problems handling. They just rolled it out, put it there, walked back to their. And I'm going. That looks like the ones that were in the
city hall.
In the city hall.
So as we were researching how to implement the program, one of the choices is what kind of cart do we use, and so. Early on in the process, I had some phone calls from residents that had some concerns and questions, and I took that opportunity to ask them if I could meet with them individually. And we brought carts to their homes and had them try them out. And some of the different carts are manufactured differently, and so we tried to select the cart that was easiest for people to maneuver. We met with a variety of people with a variety of abilities and ages. And so I feel really good that the cart that we chose is really the one that was met with the most enthusiasm with the public.
Okay. Is this similar to what I saw in Plover or what is used in other communities?
Yes, they have a handle for moving them around. The wheels are well underneath so that they tip easy, and there's a lid to keep things clean and keep water out so that we're not contaminating recyclables with rainwater while they're waiting to be collected.
Okay. Now, will there be a new vehicle used in picking up these?
There will be, and the city currently has one recycling truck, and it is replacing it with one recycling truck. And so we anticipate that the service will be very similar to what it is now. The schedules will be the same, at least initially. The routes will be the same. We'll be collecting every other week, just as we are now. And so for the residents, the operation shouldn't change, other than you'll have a cart to put your recyclables in, and you'll roll the cart out rather than the bins.
Okay. When do you anticipate getting those carts delivered, or how will you distribute them?
Okay. So right now, the letter that the residents received talks briefly about the program, and there was a frequently asked questions flyer attached. Mm-hmm. Most of the communities that have implemented a recycling program with automated carts have recommended not to offer options. Just use the 96-gallon cart. What they found is when you use the smaller carts or give the option to select, within a year, a lot of those residents are selecting the bigger cart. And then the municipality has a lot of carts that aren't being used, just taking up space, inventory that was paid for. However, the residents that express interest in smaller carts here in Rapids, I think, they had a good reason for doing so. So the city is allowing an option. You can select a smaller cart if you wish. If you do want to change back, though, because the city isn't initially charging for these carts, you would have to pay a fee to switch. To select us, if you want the standard cart, you don't have to do anything. And this fall, probably early to mid-November, those carts will be delivered, and we'll implement go into full implementation right after the first of the year, or as of the first of the year. But we need to know if you want the option by the end of July. We'll be placing the order for the carts in August. They will be made specifically for the city. It's a standard cart, but we'll have our city logo on. We're also reaching out to a few of the larger businesses in the community to see if they are interested in sponsoring the carts for the program. If they are, we will be hot stamping their logo on the lids, and that makes good advertising because those carts are good for 15 to 20 years.
Yeah, I would think, especially a business in the recycling type business might want to be.
Well, I think anyone interested in sustainability,
right,
and and efficient practice, and that wants to have their name out there for everybody to see. For
right, that's right. Who knows? Maybe the rafters. But these carts too. There's a security aspect to this too.
There is. The carts are stamped with a serial number, and the city is it was 75 cents a piece to have this feature added, but it has a radio frequency ID tag embedded in them. So if a cart is stolen or there's any question as far as if the cart is where it belongs, the city will have a database of what carts with what serial numbers were placed at what address, and we'll be able to monitor them.
Okay. What about the old carts, or what's left of these shattered boxes? I guess they're not a cart as so much as a blue box.
They can go into the recycling bin and be recycled.
Okay, that's what we can do with it, I guess. Okay, we're talking recycling in part two of our City of Wisconsin Rapids update. Joe Terry, Director of Public Works, is here. We're going to take a quick break. If you have any questions, this is the morning to ask at 715-424-2600. You're listening to The Morning Magazine on AM 1320 and WFHR.com. We also welcome our friends from RCCA Media. Welcome back to The Morning Magazine. In part two, as in part one, we have Joe Terry, Director of Public Works, who's been kind enough to sit in for Wisconsin Rapids Mayor Zach Verwink. Mayor Verwink is meeting with Senator Tammy Baldwin, who's in town this morning. She will be stopping by the studios this afternoon for a brief interview, and I'll be putting together a segment of the noon report for that, as well as some news stories, so you'll know what the senator was talking about with the mayor. I know downtown riverfront development is one of the things. She's also going to a mass community roundtable up in the Wausau area on the drug problem in central Wisconsin. So we'll keep you posted on all of that. But in the meantime, Joe Terry, Director of Public Works, is here, and in the second half of the show, we're talking recycling. And if you have questions, now's the time to ask. There's no such thing as a dumb question. Just ask, and you'll get your answers. 715-424-2600. You say we won't have to separate. Basically, you just put whatever recyclable is. Has the definition of a recyclable changed at all?
Not really. There's a few more plastics that are allowed that, versus when the program was first started. One of the questions that I probably have received the most from the public, I've received a lot of phone calls on some basic questions, but the one I think that people are a little confused on is that when I say we don't have to separate recyclables, sometimes they think that means garbage from recycling.
No, we still have to separate garbage.
Right, and we still have to separate garbage from the recyclables. The containers that'll be delivered will have the recycling logo on them. So hopefully it's pretty apparent that these are for recyclable materials. I anticipate that the city will be changing over to an automated garbage collection in the next several years, but our trucks, because our trucks are getting close to the end of their service life, and again, it offers the city the opportunity to be a little more efficient with staff and time. That's really the other reason why I'm highly recommending the larger container and using that as the default size, because once the city changes to an automated garbage collection, one large container is the limit. And unless the rules haven't been set yet, but unless the city allows multiples, and then there'd likely be a cost involved. So there may be some necessity to do a better job of recycling for folks maybe that might otherwise have more garbage in the future. So, short term, I think, either size container should probably serve the needs of most, but long term, I really recommend going with the standard larger container. Another question that people have asked, especially folks that are maybe a little bit older, gosh, I don't know if I'll be able to move that big cart. That's 96
one of my
gallons. That's a big cart. With whatever amount of recyclables you put in that cart, it doesn't matter if it's big or small, right? You generate a certain amount of recyclables. The carts themselves really don't weigh a whole lot different. And so to help demonstrate that, at City Hall, we have both the 96 and the 48-gallon carts completely full of recyclables. I mean, they're full to the top. And so, in most cases, I think there'll be a lot of families that would fill a 96-gallon cart. But for the most case, probably not. And you have the opportunity, if you want to just come down to City Hall right in the lobby, you can wheel it around, take a look at it, and you'll see that one that's even completely full, probably beyond what most people are going to do, really does roll around pretty easy.
Yeah, and I would say it's going to be a lot easier to move around than that container that's falling apart that you've been taking to your curb all these years.
Well, and especially if you had two containers, if you tried to stack them or make two trips, this is really easy to move around. And the communities that have gone this route, even the naysayers have admitted that, gosh, it's something we probably should have done a few years ago.
Yeah, well, like I said, I just, as an observer, happening to drive through Plover on Sunday, late afternoon, early evening, and seeing people wheeling their container to their corner, I didn't see people struggling. I saw people take it, roll it to the street corner, and walk away. And I'm going, if that's what they're talking about, I can even handle that. Let's get to a phone call for you, sir. And you're on the Morning Magazine with Joe Terry.
Yeah. How do you know if people are really putting recyclables in these containers? I mean, when you come along and lift them up, you're just dumping them into the truck, correct?
That's correct. And that's a good question.
If you've got people that are putting garbage in these things and really contaminating your recyclables, and then you haul this up to the Plover site, that transfer site, is that where you haul your recyclables?
Well, we are in the process of seeking proposals to make a determination if that's where they're going to go, but that's the likely location.
So so let's say you get a few of these that dump garbage, they end up with garbage in your recyclable thing, and they haul it wherever to a transfer site or a recycling site, and you discover that you got a whole lot of garbage mixed in with these recyclables. What do?
Okay, well, let's get an answer.
Take the whole bunch. That all goes to the dump then?
Let's get an answer.
Right. So the trucks themselves are equipped with a camera, and so when the carts are lifted up and dumped into the truck, the operator is going to be able to see what's coming out of that cart into the truck. And if somebody is dumping garbage in their recyclables, that'll be addressed through our ordinances and enforcement. And that's a very good question, because we do have to enforce that quite strictly. The risk of contaminated recyclables in the carts is higher because there's a lid on it, and you don't see it right away. So that's the precautions that the city's taking, and what other municipalities do as well.
What other municipalities that have had this? How have they dealt with that issue? I mean, that's a good question.
Essentially, it's the same way. The trucks themselves have cameras in the hopper, so that when you're dumping the materials in, it dumps into a hopper and then compacts into the truck. So, the operator can see what's going on and then address the problem right away before it gets to the recycling site.
Or maybe even go to the house, or they'll be cited. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. They'll be.
Okay, so let's say he sees that this container has got a lot of garbage in it.
Right.
And then what does he do with this stuff? I mean, it's already dumped, right?
Well, the truck has 2 bays. It dumps it into a collection area, and then it would go and get compressed into the compression area. So if he sees it getting dumped in, obviously it's a big problem. It's going to take some time because someone's going to have to get it out of there, and then address the person that incorrectly put the non-recyclables in there.
So are you having a fine?
Yeah, there's a city ordinance.
Yes.
So there's fines for people that do this the first time, or
if it's blatant, it would probably be first time. But if it's something small or whatever, we'll address it like we do things. With each occurrence would be looked at. If it's something minor, a phone call or a letter, and if it's something major, it'd probably start with a citation.
So the other question is, so you think your driver is going to watch this every dumpster being dumped completely out of this container?
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
That's part of their job.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. But that is a question, and I guess that's why during this information period, when we say you don't have to separate, it's your recyclables you don't have to separate.
Right.
But you still have to have your garbage and garbage.
That's correct.
Yeah. So don't put garbage into these bins, these new carts.
Right, and we're going to have them labeled, so it should be real obvious. And if people have questions, they certainly on the letter, my name and phone number is on the letter, so people can continue to call if they do have questions.
But I guess in terms of actually seeing what we're talking about, head on over to City Hall. Yeah, and they're right in the main lobby there?
Right in the main lobby. A lot of people have been in already, and some have called afterwards with questions, based on what they saw in the lobby. So.
Real quick, we got time for a real quick question. Bill, I see it's you on the line. What?
Yeah, I'm interested in paint cans, varnish cans, and stuff like that. How do you know if there's anything in them? I know you can do, but to me, this is a very good way to get rid of paint and paint cans. So none of this garbage is weighed. Is that correct? As this thing is also taking a picture of it dumping on the way up, it's not weighing what's in that particular container.
Right.
Because now we have a 45-pound limit. Because that's the person has to lift it, and him or herself. But I'm still so cautious about it. This is a good clean sweep, and I know you're a shorter time, but it's something to consider.
Okay. Well, I guess we got plenty of time to work out details.
Well, and obviously education is important. People dump things inappropriately, and we try to make opportunities with clean sweeps and other activities so that it's easy for people to recycle and not contaminate it, and that it's easy to get rid of your garbage and so that's always an effort to educate the public and avoid full paint cans or anything like that in a recycling container would be that'd be disastrous.
Okay. Well, Joe, I appreciate your time sitting in. Very good show, and we look forward to visiting with the mayor next month.
Well, thanks for having me.
Okay, and with that, we'll wrap up the Morning Magazine. We'll join CBS right after this.